Welcome back, guys, to another video. On the previous video we looked at TOF timers. On the previous video to that we looked at TON timers. On this video here we're going to have a look at counters. Now I've got here our program that we completed for our TON timers, which was our valve and pump program. What we're going to have a look at now is we're going to modify this program to now do this within a couple of batches. So instead of just doing one cycle and then stopping, what we'll then do is we'll have it do a couple of cycles and then stop after that. So at the moment it currently stops when our P2 delay turns on. So I don't want that to happen anymore, so I'll delete that. So get rid of that. What we want to do now is when this P2 delay.q turns on, that's the output of this second timer, I want this to trigger a counter. I want this to do 2 batches and then stop. So what we'll do is we're going to insert a new network over here, and we'll put in normally open contact, and we'll put in here P2 delay.q. Now to count 2 batches we're going to use our counter, and there's 2 types. You got count up or you got count down. Personally I prefer to use the count up over the count down. They both achieve the same thing, to be honest with you, so we'll just use the count up. So I'm going to drag and drop the count up into place over here. Drop this into there, and you'll notice that it's a lot bigger than the timers that we've got over here, and you'll also see that it's created another contact on the left hand side. So we'll give this the name batch, and we'll just say okay to that, and that's created another variable over here. Now with counters, it's just like counters in other PLCs. Counters don't reset when they lose their enable signal. Instead we need to give it a manual reset. Now, I'll come on to this manual reset later on, but what we'll do here is we'll look at the preset value. This is what we are wanting to count to, and I want to create 2 batches. So I'm going to type in 2 over here. Again, the CV isn't required in this case, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. So now what's going to happen is, when this pump 2 delay turns on, we want to turn off pump 2, and then we want it to go back to over to pump 1. So pump 1 runs again, and then it runs pump 2 from there. So to do this, what we'll do is when pump 2 delay turns on, we will then turn this on here as normally closed contact, .q. That then turns our pump 2 off. And then what we'll also do is we'll also turn off the P1 delay. Put a normally closed contact in here. And we'll put this in over here, like so. Technically, we don't need this normally closed contact in, because when this normally closed contact opens, it'll turn off our P1 delay, turn off this contact, which will turn this off anyways. So we don't really need that inside of there. What will now happen though is this will turn off, that contact will close, it'll then run pump 1 again, and then off we go, it'll start cycling it once again. When P2 delay is triggered twice, our counter will then turn on. What we want to have happen is this batch count here then stops our process over here. So we'll put a normally closed contact in, .q, just like before. So when the batch is finished, this will open, turn off our process run, and then this will all reset from over here. To reset our counter, when do we want to reset it? Well, we want to reset it when we've finished our batch. So once again, we'll come into here, we'll type in our batch.q, and that will now allow us to run our counter. So let's save our project. Let's generate code. Everything's okay on that side. Let's go to online simulation. Great. Let's go to online login, download that to our PLC, and there we go. And let's start this up. So now when I trigger my start PB, so I'll just double click this. When I control F7 this and then switch it back to being off, this valve will turn on, wait 5 seconds, the valve will fully open. The pump 1 will then turn on. It'll run for 10 seconds and then turn back off again. It'll then trigger our pump 2, which will run for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, it'll trigger our batch counter, 1. It'll open up here, turning off our P1 delay, which will then reset the pump cycle once again. It'll do this for a second count. After it's hit 2, it'll then reset the whole process. So Control F7. There we go. Double click this once again. Control F7, there we go. So pump 1 is now on, pump 1 is now running. Our counter is currently at 0. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pump 2 is now switched on, pump 1 is switched off. It's now going to wait until pump 2 delay is finished, trigger our counter and reset this part of the process over here for our timer. There we go. Pump 1 is now on. It's going to run another batch. 7, 8, 9, 10. Pump 2 is running again. And now this counter will then turn on to 2. It'll then reset our process. Counter will reset instantly. And there we go from there. And everything's reset at that point. And that is counters inside of our program for CODESYS. Once again, counters are like every other counter in your PLC. These counters will count up until they've hit a set value and then turn on, and then we can use that counter Q signal to then drive other parts of the process. Just remember, these counters need reset. Thanks for watching this quick video on CODESYS Counters, our CTU. I look forward to seeing you next time, guys.